Hey everyone, Chef Lene with the Grow Your Own Food Club. How are you doing? I'm glad to see that some people signed on today. I didn't blast out a bunch of notifications like I usually do, just because today is just going to kind of be planning and recapping. So after I go through my spiel, feel free to take yourselves off of mute and you can ask me anything you want, because my plan for today is to show you the seeds that we sowed last time together. There are 2 egg cartons full of those. I'll recap a little bit for those of you that weren't here. We'll talk about Figueroa here. We named Figueroa here in the class. We have Susan, who is an avocado tree, and she was just from grocery store. This fig is 2 years old, and he was maybe that big, and I got him from a greenhouse here in New York. So for those of you that are watching the video, I'm in Corning, New York. The zone is 5B, so I'm pretty far north. I'm in upstate New York, not in the city, 3 hours from the city, but in upstate New York. So we just had our best weather this past weekend. It got up to 63 and 64, unseasonably warm. When that happens, we all want to take things outside, and then we'll get hit with a couple frost nights. So I'm sure the ground is still completely frozen. So everything I'm doing, and I'm not doing a ton, I'm actually starting seeds inside. And then Stephanie's in Washington. Oh, wow. And you know your growing zone, right? Stephanie, you should know that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So um, let me look at the dates real quick for when our meetings are, and I will put the dates on the Club Hub. The Club Hub is where you sign on to the various clubs. Because we are going on spring break, we will have a club meeting April 1st. Okay. That's not next week. That's in 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks. After that, we won't meet again until April 15th. And that's going to be prime time to get some of these plugs outside. Okay. So we'll start with Figueroa. Figueroa is a brown Turkish fig tree, about 2 years old, so not really producing a lot of fruit, although it has its second fig, if you can see right here. And all of this growth up here is new. In fact, it just opened last week. It was a little teeny bud. If you look at our last video from 2 weeks ago, none of that was there. And I did have a fig, and the other fig was right here, and it just never did anything. And it was there for so long that I just took it off. It may have dropped off, and it didn't brown. And I did my research, and it said that the young trees, they don't start producing fully until maybe 4 years, that they can produce a couple. But when a fruit or a flower is on a plant, that's when it's going to take up most of the energy from the plant. Okay, so I just wanted to take it off. We'll see what happens with this fruit right there. It's very small. It's about bigger than a pea. Let me see if I can take my camera. I wanted to show you the very top. Look how beautiful those leaves are. I couldn't believe it, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they're still coming. And again, a week ago, that was just a little teeny, I mean, I knew it was a leaf popping out. It just took off. So I'm going to be careful, and I'm not going to move it from its spot. When it gets a little warmer outside, maybe in May. Right now, I have it in an east facing window. It's getting lots of sun, but it's not getting direct sun, but it has plenty of light. So I'm going to leave it in that spot until about May, and then I'm going to introduce it outside slowly. I'll put it outside. I'm not going to put it in too much heat, and then I'll bring it in if the weather drops too much, just because I don't want to take a chance. What I was explaining last time we met was I put this directly in the ground the first year I got it, and it looked dead. It was just a stick, and that stick is right here. And there are no leaves coming off of that. I thought it was dead, and then I thought, you know what? I'm not giving up on it. Brought it inside. The first time I saw a leaf come up way down here, I was super stoked. So I brought it inside, and it's been inside all winter. And it's only been under fluorescent lighting. So again, I'm recapping. If you were here last meeting, you heard all of that, but you didn't see all the new growth there. Again, I will explain to you guys that I don't have full gardens. I used to have a farm, a 13-acre farm. I had quite a few things growing, but I say this because I am not an expert. In fact, I only have a 1/4 acre. I want to do all edibles. I want things more like chamomile. I have ginger and turmeric, and I always do basil and tons of cilantro. I put garlic in last year as well with the group. I took my iPad outside and we all planted it together, so I can't wait to see what happens there. It's in a raised bed, but I'm afraid the cats have been using that bed as a kitty litter. And if that's the case, they may have dug it up. There's a lot of cats in this area. Okay, so we'll see what happens. We got a lot of fun things coming up for spring. Again, I'm ordering my seeds tonight. And then in 2 weeks from today, April 1st, you can see how they have sprouted. Today, I'm going to go over another sprouting method that I want to try because I saw it online. So this is what we did together 2 weeks ago. So these bad boys are 2 weeks old. It took them about, how long did it take? It took about 5 days before they sprouted at all. And the way we did it, and you may go back and check out the archived video. It's the first one you'll see on our page. We put it in paper towels. We then put it in plastic bag. I sprayed it, spritzed it just enough to keep it moist. And then we put them in the egg cartons. That's okay. We're just glad you're here. Hi. So these are peppers. This is what you want to ask yourself. When you first start playing around and you haven't grown anything, just do some research and try 1 or 2 things. These are from seeds from the grocery store. Okay. Peppers. Why am I growing bell peppers? Because I love bell peppers. I can't get enough onions, garlic, turmeric, ginger, bell peppers. So those are the things I want to grow because it really doesn't behoove you. It takes energy and some investment. So I don't want to grow things that I'm going to have too much, or I'm not going to use it, or I'm going to get sick of it, and things I can get easily. Near Ithaca, New York, and I was just there this weekend doing some research for farms where I can get homemade butter and preserves and wheat berries and all the things, all organic, beautiful. I can get a lot of veggies there, fairly inexpensive on these roadside vegetable farms. So why would I grow it here? So I'm not going to do a lot of growing. I don't have a lot of land, but I am going to grow some things that I love and I want. All right. So bell peppers, there's a combination. I don't even care what color. There was yellow, red, and green. And so this is what we did. In a paper towel, spritz the paper towel until it's moist, throw the seed in there, make sure it stays moist. I actually put them on a heating pad and I made sure they didn't dry out. I've killed so many babies and sprouts from letting them dry out. So I have a different method I'm going to show you right now. I know I talked to you guys about these water jugs, right? I have one of the dispensers. So I go through these, I don't know, a couple of them almost a week. So I've got all of these. I used to just throw them in the recycling. Now I've learned I can make these into a greenhouse. So what happens is the plastic traps the moisture and I don't have to water them every day. Like I don't have to babysit them, right? So this is how I came up with my method. And you can see them in there, okay? Because it's this one, I cut it along here. I've got a little tape over the end, and when I want to spritz it, I just open this up. And then I take my water bottle and I just spritz in there a little bit, you know? And if you see condensation, that's plenty, okay? But the minute your sprouts start to germinate and they have leaves, they then need light. So this also acts as, it reflects the light and it draws more light to the plant. So these bad boys are so cute. I'm going to hook up those that I just showed you that are on a sheet tray in the egg carton. I'm going to make another one. I've got 6 of these bottles right now, and I'm just going to get all my seeds in them. And then they go on a restaurant rack, like you see the rack right there. It's like that, but it's big. So they'll all be lined up, and then between every layer, there's going to be a fluorescent light. Fluorescent lights aren't full spectrum, so you're not going to get fruiting and all that stuff, but just enough light in that fluorescent to get them going until I plant them outside. Okay, but do remember the minute you start getting some leaves, you need light, okay? They need chlorophyll. All right, today we're going to do some more seeds and more peppers. Oh, one last thing. I did also pour a little bit of water in there because the egg carton isn't sitting flush on the bottom, and the egg carton being cardboard, it acts as a wick and it brings the moisture up from the bottom, but you don't want them too wet. If they're too wet, they're gonna rot and they're gonna die. So I would suggest that any seeds that you get out of product from your groceries, put them in the paper towel method and just watch them sprout. Even if you just piled that up on a bagel in the morning with cream cheese, you're getting so much more nutrients because of the sprouting, okay? So you don't have to have a full-on garden and all that to play with this stuff. So last year, I grew, and I'm going to open this up to conversation in just a minute because I don't have much today to go over. I grew these habaneros last year, and I put them in my dehydrator. You don't need a dehydrator. You just make sure they're on something where they can get, heat and air circulation. You could even hang them and they'll dry. So we're going to plant some of these today. And when they're dried, they're even hotter, which is why I don't want to crush into them. I probably will, because those things I'm using are so hard to maneuver. So watch this. This was a new method that I found doing some research. Plastic bag, right? I love these, by the way. These are compostable. They break down in the earth very quickly, not like plastic bags that Ziploc bags that you get from the grocery store. These are actually from the grocery store, but I really love these because again, they break down, they don't end up in streams and, you know, the ocean and so on. Again, we need plastic because seeds to germinate, they need warmth, they need moisture, and they need carbon dioxide, which they're gonna pull from the air, which that's the coolest thing about plants. They breathe in the carbon dioxide and they expel oxygen. So plants not only, you know, filter the air for us and give us healthier air to breathe, but they pull in carbon dioxide. So super cool. So this method I found was to simply take paper towel, one piece, okay, and I'm gonna spray it. I'm just gonna stick my seeds on there. Okay, not too wet. I don't want it dripping or anything like that. I'll just do it right back here for a second. I busted open one of my habaneros. I'm not gonna like manhandle it because then if I touch my eye or something, it gets really hot. I'm just gonna break it open. I'm just gonna put the seeds on the paper towel here. And you want to put extra. You don't say like, oh, I want 4 plants. I'm going to put 4 seeds in there because many of them die during the process and that's fine. Okay. So then I'm going to just take that paper towel and the seeds are stuck to it, right? They're not going to fly around because I moistened the paper towel. I'm going to fold it. That's it. Okay, so it's folded just over a couple times and it's damp and the seeds are in there. You could probably see them through there. And I'm going to put it in this plastic bag. And I'm going to blow into the plastic bag and I'm going to trap the carbon dioxide. And that is supposed to make them accelerate the sprouting. Isn't that pretty cool? I'd never heard of that. I mean, I've always been just putting my seeds in paper towel. Some seeds just go directly right into the ground, but not all. Some plants are better if you start the seeds, and some plants do better if you throw them right in the ground. So I'm just locking this bag, and then I'm going to breathe in to the one corner of it and trap it. So guess what? My lips got hot doing that because of the peppers. So you can see that it's puffed up just a little bit from where I blew that, you know, carbon dioxide in there. And I'm just gonna leave that in a warm place. And the minute they sprout, it could take 3 days, it could take longer. Once I see something happening and out of the pointy end of the seed, you're gonna see it start to germinate. That becomes the taproot, the main root. And then out of the other end, after that taproot comes out, you're gonna see a little leaf start to form or a double leaf, right? Then we got to get it under some light. I could put it in my window right there, but I'll probably end up putting it in one of these. All right. And then next, we're just going to put our egg carton with these bad boys in it because I don't want to have to go downstairs twice a day. They're down in my cellar to make sure that they are moist enough, you know? And I'm just going to these kind of lock right back together. It depends on how they get cut. I don't need to put tape on the outside. I see some people on the internet, they're taping it with duct tape and all that, and you don't really need to. But I'll spray in there. And I'll make sure that there's condensation at all times. I'm not gonna water it otherwise, but you can see condensation in, you see the condensation in there? And then I'm gonna put a little tape over the end just to trap it. They do need oxygen, but they're gonna have plenty of oxygen within that container. Don't go anywhere, hold on. I don't want that rolling into my sink. I have some bleach water in there. Okay, so peppers, habaneros, bell peppers, sweet bell peppers, and spicy peppers. I want to make a lot of my own pepper jelly. I want to make seasonings for the winter months. So I'll dry out some of the peppers and I will pulverize them. I'm actually ordering tonight a new wheat berry grinder. All those white bags that you see on that restaurant rack are organic beans and wheat berries for bread making. So my grinder's going to have stone. So I sell stone ground organic flour to my customers when they're going to use it. Flour in the grocery store has no nutritional value because it could have been ground 6 months ago, a year ago, we don't know. You have to use wheat right after it's ground to get the nutritional value out of it. And many of my customers here, they make everything from scratch and they just don't have access to the organic wheat berries. Okay. Next, before we start open this up and we all start talking, I showed you guys my little journal. All I do is research. Once I plant something, I make sure I'm starting the seed at the right time. You can find a planting schedule. We talked about that last meeting, okay? But I write down information, and before we started today, Adrian and I were talking about ginger. Adrian planted ginger. I think, Adrian, was it from the grocery store? A root?
Yes, it was, Chef.
Okay. So what we discussed was if you're going to do that, you have to rinse the ginger for a couple days, changing the water out every day because you're trying to rid the ginger of an anti-sprouting chemical spray that they put on them in the grocery store. And then you throw it in some dirt and you should be fine. This is my research on the ginger because I did this a couple years ago and my ginger has been great. I will move it outside as well soon. These are the things you want to look for. Or maybe it's garlic I have the notes on. No, here's the ginger. You want to plant it, well, there are 3 knobs on the rhizome. The rhizome is the root that swells, and that's what we harvest, like a potato, a carrot, and so on. A heat mat will speed the sprouting. So Adrian, if you have like a hot pad that maybe you use for sore muscles or something like that, or even a blanket from the winter that you plug in. You know, here in the north, we use those electric blankets when you're sitting in the recliner watching a movie, you know, you can just lay that right out and put that right on there on low.
I have a couple, Chef. I'm from Wisconsin. I just live in Texas.
There you go. Yeah, the whole idea here is not to spend any more money than we need to, right? Because, you know, you don't save a lot of money growing your own food unless you have land, but it's the healthiest food you know you can get. So that is our number one reason for doing it, not because we you know, we're trying to make money on it and so on. We want to control that there's no chemicals in it. Let me just see if. Okay, sorry. I had a student messaging me and I was afraid she was trying to get into the meeting. Okay, plenty of space to grow vertically. So anytime you grow anything, you have to know how big of a container do I need? I'm gonna grow this year in containers because I don't know where the best spots are for certain things. This way, if the plant's looking like it's struggling a little bit, I can move the container because these containers are made out of like felt. They're breathable, and that way it's not heavy. If you get terracotta or another type of planter, one, it's super expensive, but two, it's going to be so heavy you can't move it around your yard. No artificial light on ginger. It says that artificial light doesn't do well for ginger, so that would mean high spectrum, and you could simply get a bulb and put it in your light fixture, okay? Like this could be a high spectrum grow light that emulates the sun. I could have it right there hanging above. On Amazon, oops, I have recently boycotted Amazon. I'm not buying anything from Amazon, but an Amazon-like store, and there are so many, right? Doesn't matter, it's up to you. Grow light, a bulb is like $7. You can get fancy ones that are really expensive. You can get some that clip on to like a door, your doorway or whatever. And at night, you can just put it a timer. You can get a $5 timer and you can plug it into the timer and it'll come on just for however many hours of sunlight that plant needs. Fertilize with organic material. I have a fertilizer going on in my cellar. I took a 5-gallon bucket. I put a bunch of scraps. I had a huge bowl of scraps from my kitchen. Celery, onion tops, some herbs, eggshells, coffee grounds, and so on. And I mixed it with some organic fertilizer, just like a 1/4 cup, filled it up with water and stirred it. It's getting plenty of oxygen, put a lid on it, and I put a spigot, a $3 spigot on the bottom of the 5-gallon container. So now when I want fertilized once a week, I just take like a 1/2 cup of that like rotting mixture, because that's really what's happening. And I dilute it in a gallon container and then I water with that, right? So it's just this process, this composting process. I do have a composter outside, but it's been frozen solid and it's going to take maybe a month before that works. I did mention last meeting that we're going to do vermiculture soon, and I might order that tonight as well. Through my business, I order this stuff and I use it when I cook for clients, and that way I can write it off on my taxes, right? So that's another thing you might want to think about and consider. Temperature for Adrian's ginger, 70 degrees to 90 degrees. Okay, so if it's cold inside, Adrian, I know Texas has been going crazy with weather. I don't know what's going on, but move it to a warm spot.
Okay, I will.
That might help keep that soil kind of warm.
Okay.
I have in my kitchen right here a table, and there's a bench in the corner. And my heater, there happens to just be one of the vents underneath that bench. So the heat comes up and it hits this table and it's trapped under the table. So a lot of times I put my things that need to stay warm under there, even though the house is 70 degrees. No direct sun on your ginger. It's okay outside during the summer. You make sure it's covered with mulch to hold the moisture, because you want it damp, like a damp sponge, but you don't want it dripping. Hill it to keep the moisture in as well, like you do cucumbers. You make a hill, so, it holds moisture in there. Benefits of the ginger: digestion, pain relief, lowering cholesterol, blood sugar, brain health, cancer prevention. Not enough water, okay, and then if you get brown tips on the sprouts, and they're gonna look just like bamboo, like miniature bamboo. If you get brown tips, then your watering is either inconsistent or it's not enough water. And the way I safeguard against like randomly watering half of my plants and then forgetting, every Saturday I water my plants. And if I'm gone for a Saturday, then I do it Sunday. But that's a good, method. Maybe some plants have to be done twice a week and some, I just watch them. I watch how well they're doing. If they're not doing well, I touch the soil. I make sure there's good drainage. You always have to have good drainage. This has drainage holes in the bottom. When these plants, I think they're 6-gallon water bottles, when I'm done with them, when the plugs get pretty big, then I'm gonna cut that lid off and I'm gonna fill it with soil and put some of the healthiest ones in there. And it's gonna act like what are those things that glass bottles that you grow plants in?
Terrarium. Terrarium.
Terrarium. Right, and that just acts as a greenhouse, keeps it warm, keeps the light coming in, it absorbs the light, and then it keeps it from drying out. Okay, so recap. We looked at the growth on Figueroa here, got another fig, so we'll monitor that in 2 weeks. Take a good look at them so we can see how that's really gonna open up. And we'll see if we get any more figs growing there. And I think by next year, it will start fruiting a lot. We have the seeds that we started together in those 2 containers. Maybe we will plant those together next time. And then the habanero peppers we planted in this version of getting those things started. I blew in that so my breath would help accelerate, is what they say. I don't know. This is all a big science experiment, and it's moist, but it's not too wet. And with that, guys, feel free to unmute yourselves and ask me anything you want. Again, I don't always have the answer, but I can find it. That's how I look at it. Daryl, okay, Adrian, yes?
Chef, are we able to remain in the club after we finish our courses and go to externship and graduate?
I know you can all the way through graduation. I'm just not sure if you have access after graduation, but after graduation, you get my number and I will send you the link.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Daryl has graduated and still has access.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, dear.
Awesome. Awesome. Good question. What else is going on in the chat? Anything? Daryl, what have you got growing over there? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Chef. I got some Boston lettuce that I got from the store that was already growing hydroponically that I replanted, and it's now full blooming again. And I have some butternut lettuce that can't make up its mind if it's wanting to be a vine because it's growing like a vine. I had already harvested it again, but then it started spiraling around my hydroponic light like a snake, and I'm like, okay, I never seen lettuce do that.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. So I got sage growing. I got, I got some green pepper, some bell peppers growing from grocery scraps. I got some celery growing from scraps and my green onions.
Nice. How many windows do you have, Daryl? I'm trying to.
I have one window in my living room, one in my bedroom that they all face. I get the setting sun, so I get the evening sun.
Okay,
So from about 12 till about 6, I get the setting sun. But I have it in combination with my grow lights.
did you put some shelves? You know, because one window, you can buy those little shelf supports from Home Depot, right? $5 a piece, and then you can cut your own shelf. And that's what I
Uh,
had in my window, but I finally took care of everything. Let me show you what I mean. So in my window here, I get a lot of light in here, and that's why I shut it when I'm doing a video, because it competes with the light up there. But I have two shelves here, so I just, at Home Depot, I bought shelving and put them there. Now that we're getting beautiful weather, I don't
my,
want them jamming up my view from,
oh, my windows are three are yours. My window is 3 of yours, but the heating, my heating system is a shelf in itself. So I have stuff on top of there.
Oh,
Yeah, so
good.
I put that there, and then I have on my other tables. I have my grow lights and everything else around. So pretty much in my egg cartons that I use for my seedlings.
Nice. Jeremy, how you doing? Are you growing anything? Maybe you can't talk to us.
No, I haven't started growing anything. I'm all new to this stuff, so I was just enjoying listening to you guys.
Good. We are too. Stephanie, are you growing anything? What do you have? If you're able to talk.
Let's see, I got some basil, Roma tomatoes, some cilantro, thyme, and rosemary, sage, and they're all in my room. I don't have them out with me, but they're all starting to grow.
Yay!
You want to grab the flax, Mike? Flax? No. Oh, maybe he'll bring it out and I'll show him.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. So when did you start them? How long ago?
A week ago?
Really?
Yeah. They came up though. So and then I got some other stuff planted and like some chard, cilantro, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Maize?
No, the whole black thing.
Let me show you where I'm getting my seeds. And I'm gonna
Cool.
order these tonight. And I thought if there was something you guys really wanted to see and we could do it as an experiment together, we will. I'm gonna get obviously herbs and chamomile and a few things like that, some lettuces. For next winter, I want to do the lettuces inside. Oh, here he goes. Yay, thank you for doing that. Nice. Oh, look at how they're all bent over. They're like, we want the sun. Excellent, really nice. I love those little things that you're using. Those, they pop up, right? What are they called? Those seed pods or whatever they call them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're really awesome. Okay,
Well,
thank you for.
I felt kind of stupid because I have a whole bunch of egg cartons and I didn't even think to use them. So
Yeah,
that'll be next.
I know that students a lot of times don't want to spend, especially if they just have a window and this is going to be an experiment thing. So yeah, I've got those clamshell containers that I get for anything I get from the grocery store that comes in a clear plastic. It's right downstairs for my seeds, Okay, so let me show you real quick. I've got to change my view here. I'm going to share where I'm getting my seeds from and show you a cool thing that they have here. Last week, I think I told you guys that I was gonna order my seeds from, it's called Gurney's. And they're just Ohio or Indiana or something like that. And that's always been where my family ordered. But this year, I want to get the seeds from New York State. And I think that's smart. We should buy seeds or plugs, meaning the seeds after they've already sprouted in a little bit of dirt. I think it's smart to get that from the state you live in, right? Because it's less shock for the plant and they've already gotten a start. But I like to support New York State, of course. So let me show you, I'll share this. And when we talk next time, I hope I'm sharing. Let's see, I just need to pull this over a little bit. I'll share with you how much I spent. I'm going to get a couple fun things. Come on. My computer I have a new work computer, so this computer does not want to do what it's supposed to. Let me see if I can move it. Aha. Come on. Come on, you can do it. There you go. It's just very delayed, if you see. Okay, now what I loved about this site right here is that if you, anything that you look at, like in my cart here, I have chamomile seeds. That's all I have so far. But they have all the information you might need for how to grow them. Like, should I plant these seeds directly in the ground after the frost, or should I start them inside and transplant? So again, some plants don't do well because they get too weak inside. Baby plants really like the sun, and that strengthens, the core of their stalk, their stem. So that's one reason some plants don't do so well. And then the shock and stuff. But here's a bunch of growing guides. Anything they sell, they have resources for you as to how to, let me show you one. So let's say romaine. Um, sorry about the computer, guys. I have my new computer, but I don't have it all up to speed yet. I'm not using it yet. So this is quite a catalog. You can even get this. You can order plugs already sprouted in trays, and you can buy them wholesale for resale. And they have programs that they will teach you how to do all of that. I thought that was super cool. Live plants and bulbs. Here's your plugs and your liners. I'm going to check out some of the bags here. I want to put a couple trees in this year as well, but I'm still trying to find out how I want. Oh, here's a grower calendar. That'd be cool. I'm still researching because I don't want trees that are too tall that I can't prune them myself. And I don't want any fruit trees that are going to bring, certain predators to my yard either, because I have a Yorkie and he's very small. I just don't want to attract the wrong type of animals. I already have a woodchuck I fight with and cats that dig things up. So, well, guys, you get the idea. It's so slow. I don't want to keep maneuvering here, but this is from Rochester, New York. And all the information you would need is there. find a calendar, find out in your area when you move it outside. Now, there is a YouTube video that's really good, and a girl, and I think she's in Michigan, which is basically the same weather we have here. She puts her seedlings in in milk jugs. And she cuts them 3/4 of the way, just like we did with our water bottles. And then she puts it right outside. And she claims that the bottle, the milk jug rather, protects it even if it frosts. I'm like, I don't dare, but I do want to try that and test it out with one of the things. I don't know why this calendar doesn't have items on it which go in the ground at that time, so I was a little confused with that. Okay, guys, anything else? Any questions, comments, information to share with us? Any of that? I see there's something in the chat here. Burpee does something similar, so Daryl put in there a tomato. Is that a growing calendar or information on?
That's actually the seed. The seed, it tells you, you know, from seed to indoor, from plants. It tells you the days to maturity, the fruit, the height, everything, and you can order either the plants or the seeds.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about some of the ones in the grocery store, Lowe's, etc.? Those big box stores, I heard that seeds, they don't have as much success rate. But I've used them. Even at the dollar store, I've picked up. You're just taking a chance. Where Harris Seeds, for example, all the farmers, organic farmers in Ithaca, New York, buy from Harris Seed. So it's a trusted, a lot of organics and so on. So I'm really excited to work with them this year.
You know, because I get some. Well, I trust Wegmans, being that I had worked there. Because they
yeah.
grow. They have got a lot of. They have a lot of hydroponic stuff. They got heirloom tomatoes and all that kind of stuff. So it's like things I would get for them and stuff. But you know, but the other thing I found out watching other videos is that the things that you get in the store, you need to take them out those trays, because
Yes.
there's a plug inside of them that stops the growth. That'll strangle the plant, and you need to separate them, especially basil, because basil doesn't like roommates, as I told you before. So it's like if you get basil plants and from the store, you need to separate them out into individual plants and then repot them, and they will still survive.
Nice. I think one of those gallon jugs would be nice. That would probably be perfect for one of those basil plants you get in the grocery store. And then you separate, then be careful with the roots.
Yeah,
and
because
stuff.
then they start spiraling around themselves in the pot, and
Yeah.
then there's a plug in the thing that you need to take out, or because especially for orchids.
Oh, okay. Cool. Good advice. Thank you, Daryl. Okay, guys, anything else? That's a wrap. Till next time, April 1st. April Fool's Day. I promise I'll show up. Get it? Bye, guys. Have a nice night.
Bye, you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.